Hi, friends. Welcome back to another live weekly tarot reading from Juno Intuitive Arts. Today, we're going to get in depth to figure out what is going to happen this week for your sun, moon, and rising signs. So, I will go through the entire zodiac and get a picture of what to expect this week for each sign. You can go back and watch each video for your sun, moon, and rising signs. All three will give you a better picture of what to expect for the upcoming week. After that, we'll go into some quick messages for the entire collective to see what the whole collective needs to know. And then I can open up the floor for some donation-based readings if anybody's around and wants one. If you would like a private reading from me, they are currently available on the website. You can find out more information by going to www.junodrome.com. I also have a donation page up as well. So if you want to tip me for providing all of these free readings for everybody all the time, you're welcome to do that as well. So I appreciate everybody. And obviously there is no obligation there, but we're going to dive straight into what to expect for the week. We're going to start with Aries. So what do my Aries need to expect this week? Aries, sun, moon, and rising signs. All right. So for Aries this week, you have the World card, which I can't show fully, but I'll show some of it. And we've got the Ace of Pentacles. So let's show these two together. So with the World card, you are leveling up. There's something going on, Aries, this week where you are moving up and on to the next level of something. You have completed a cycle and now you're moving up and into something else. So with new chapters in life and new beginnings, new cycles, there tends to be a moment of feeling maybe confused about what's going on, but this is a new beginning in the physical world for you. Excuse me, with the Ace of Pentacles. And so this week is going to be opening you up to the opportunity to view things in a new way and incorporate new methods of moving through the world. Hello, Melissa. Welcome. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Yeah, I still have a bit of a cough going, but I'm feeling better than I was. So with that, Aries, this new cycle that you're moving into is an opportunity to change some things around. So if you're feeling like you want to move around your space a little bit, maybe even moving or new jobs for some people, but it doesn't have to be, new modes of operating in the day-to-day, I think this is a really good opportunity for you to do that. So really take that into consideration this week. Now you have two kings. You have the King of Wands and the King of Cups. So this next chapter that you're moving on there's a level of mastery coming up this week for you as well, towards following your inspirations and feeling emotionally secure. So there's a bit of an opportunity this week as well to feel more confident in your own ability to move through the world and to feel as though you are incorporating things into your life on a level that feels good, that feels right, that feels secure, that feels like you are navigating the world in a uh, uh, a very secure is not the word I'm looking for, in a very collected sort of way. So trust yourself, trust that you know how to move through things, because this next chapter that you're moving into is one where I think you're pretty secure in yourself and in your mode of operation. So, you can do new things while still feeling secure in yourself. And I think that that's kind of what this next chapter is going to feel like for you. All right. So that was Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Kristen, hey. Junzi, nice. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right. So next up, we have Taurus, sun, moon, and rising signs. What do our Tauruses need to know this week? Taurus. Yeah, that's good. All right, Taurus. Okay, Taurus, this is a good week for you. But let's choose this one first. This one came out first. With the Four of Pentacles, there's two different meanings for this one. First time, it can mean like playing it a little bit too safe, being overly cautious. So don't worry, Taurus, this week about, holding things a little bit too close. Sometimes we have the tendency to be afraid of what can happen if we put ourselves out there. And so we kind of hold ourselves a little bit back. We hold our energy in reserve just out of fear. Don't feel like you have to do that this week. You know, this card can also mean safety. Um, so you are safe in whatever movements you need to make. And I feel like this week you're going to be feeling the desire to make some big movements. And that might be a little bit, you might be feeling hesitant to do that, but you're still feeling like you're being called to it. I wouldn't worry too much about it because this is moving on from the choppy waters to calmer waters. So whatever big movements you decide to make this week, Taurus, I think that ultimately they're going to help you feel a little bit more secure in yourself and in life. And so you really are being encouraged to take those steps. Go ahead and make the movements that you know you need to make, because they are going to lead you to some more secure places in the long run that are going to make you feel good about yourself and about where you're going. So keep that in mind here. With the um, Six of Pentacles, this talks about balance, and it's a give and a take. So, you know, I think that in some aspects of life this week, you may be asking for some help in certain areas. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to reach out to your support structure if you need assistance in anything, because there are people in your life who are out there ready and willing to help you. So you can be open to that. But also remember that sometimes being available to help others is also a part of that give and take, right? So some days you're available to help other people, some days they're there to help you, right? So make sure that you're in a reciprocal balance with that give and take of helping energy, but be open and available to anybody in your life asking you for help this week as well, because there might be somebody asking you for some assistance. But ultimately, you have the victory card. So I think that whatever you decide to set your mind to this week, Taurus, you're going to be victorious in it. And whatever movements you decide to make, ultimately, they're leading you towards victory, which is an excellent card to have. So I think by the end of the week, you're going to be feeling really good about maybe some of the decisions that you've made and the movements that you've made this week, because ultimately they're leading you to this feeling of ultimately feeling victorious and feeling like you're capable of achieving things and moving in the right directions. So anyway, that was for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. We're going to move on to Gemini. I'm going to shuffle the deck real quick and figure out, what do our Gemini signs need? Taurus Rising, thank you for this. It makes me feel I'm not going to choose wrong. Yeah, I don't think so. I think whatever you decide, I think it's going to lead you in the right direction this week. Definitely. All right. So Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, what do you need to know? Let's put that one away. No, it wants to come out too. Okay. Geminis. So for my Geminis this week, I think you're going to be feeling a little bit torn on what way to turn this week. I think you're going to have a lot of options available to you, and you might be a little bit overwhelmed by those options. So this week might be a challenge to figure out what decisions to make for yourself as you're moving forward. So you have some advice on that. So don't feel too conflicted about all of the options ahead of you, even though you might have a lot of possibilities moving forward. There is a helpful hint here on how to choose the right thing for yourself. The first thing is the High Priestess card. So if you're feeling any kind of internal conflict this week and confusion at what direction you might want to move through and move in, this is an excellent week for you to tune back into your own inner voice and your own inner light, and let that be your guide through this. So what can you do to tune into your own inner being this week and connect into the feelings of possibilities within yourself? There are many possible moments for you to move through whatever this week, right? You have a lot of possibilities, but there's only a few that are like fully aligned with who you are and what's going on. So the more that you can tune into yourself this week and really listen to your inner guidance and your inner voice, the more you're going to feel secure about the way to move forward. You have some more hints here. I mean, ultimately you have the Wheel of Fortune. So I think you're going to be making the right choices by the end of the week. So don't feel too overwhelmed at all the options. Trust that you're capable of making the right choices and moving in the right direction, because with the Wheel of Fortune, I do think that fortune is on your side this week, and you have a lot of opportunities to move in a positive direction regardless. Now, I think what's kind of going on here is a part of maybe what's keeping you from feeling fully confident in making a choice is this fear that past situations will come back to haunt you in a certain sense, where you're kind of like this battle hardened soldier and waiting for the next battle, right? Waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for there to be something else coming in. But that's not necessarily the case, right? And that's not necessarily going to happen. Just because things have happened in the past does not mean that things will happen in the future. And so don't let any kind of past difficulties hold you back this week, because ultimately you have an open book ahead of you with the Page of Wands. This is a student energy. This is new beginnings. This is new possibilities. And so moving forward, you actually have a lot more open possibilities at your disposal than maybe you think. And so this is kind of a card coming in to let you know that there are open possible opportunities and avenues ahead of you, and don't let any kind of past situation keep you locked in any one thought or idea, that there are actually many possible avenues for you moving forward. And it's up to you to open your mind to those possibilities, to open yourself up to the idea that new things can happen and that you can move in new directions. You don't have to be tied to any one way of being or any one way of thinking, that there are new opportunities ahead of you here, regardless. So, anyway, Geminis, I hope you have an excellent week ahead, and we are going to move on. So, next up, we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. Quick shuffle here. I hope everybody's having a nice week so far. I finally have the website up and going, so you can find out more information by going to www.junodrome.com. I have all of my private readings available for sale up there if you're ever interested in those. Okay, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising. What do you need to know? All right. Okay, Cancer. So, what's up with you this week? Well, I mean, the first thing coming here, this came out, you have ultimate happiness available to you. So, Cancer, I think this is going to be a really good week for you. Or at least you have the open towards really positive, happy memories and creating that. Now, the thing about this card is like this is a whole family having a nice time together. So, the thing about it is, they're not necessarily like the wealthiest family down here, but they're still like they have each other's company and they have everything that they need, and they share that love with each other. And so I think that that's kind of a good philosophy to have for yourself, Cancer, this week is like you may not have everything that you want, but that doesn't mean that that has to keep you from feeling good about yourself and good about life, and that you can celebrate and enjoy the small things in life, and that the more that you learn how to do that on a day-to-day basis, the more that you can bring in true happiness into your life in any situation. And there's a real importance of being able to do that here, of really opening up your mind and your heart towards happiness and possibilities, and that you can allow in the happiness into your life at any moment. And this week is a really positive moment for bringing in positive feelings. So open yourself up to that, because you also have the Nine of Cups, which is like almost ultimate happiness. So it's like you have ultimate happiness and almost ultimate happiness. And then you have 910, which talks about completion energy. So what's kind of cool about this one, this is about feeling proud about yourself and about your own accomplishments. And so I think that you do have a lot to be proud of, in how far that you've moved in life. And so taking the time to look at those small things inside, those small avenues and areas where you have improved upon yourself in a positive direction, that's something that's really worth keeping in mind here. So, really celebrate your own wins this week. I think it's going to be really helpful for you in feeling good about yourself and feeling happy about how far you've come. Now, as you move forward, you have two pages. So this week is also a new opportunity for you to move in a different direction. With the Page of Swords, that's learning how to think about things from a new perspective, which I really do think with these two happiness cards, like I was saying before, you don't have to necessarily have achieved everything that you want to be happy. You can find happiness here in the present moment, regardless of what's going on externally. And so I think that this week is about kind of learning how to do that and taking that seriously, taking your own happiness seriously and making choices and decisions in the physical world, making changes and learning how to change things in your physical day-to-day life that will be able to change your mindset to bring in that happiness. Really taking the steps to do that this week, I think will end up paying off in the long run really positively, and ultimately help you feel more secure in yourself and your own abilities to feel good about life, right? And then remembering that happiness is something that we can achieve at any moment, regardless of our external situation. It's an internal state of being that can be built upon anything. Now, of course, like being more stable makes it easier to be happy, right? So finding more stability for yourself in the physical world could be helpful in bringing that in. But at the same time, we can make choices and decisions in our lives at any moment to change the pathway that we're on and move ourselves in a positive direction. That is available to everyone, regardless of your external situation. Obviously, it's easier for some people than others, depending on life situation. So you take your life for you, but keeping an open mind and open perspective lets you see the opportunities that may be around you that otherwise you wouldn't be able to see. And so keeping an open mind and open perspective towards positive opportunities can help you open up your life to more positive energy in the long run. Now, finally, we have the Two of Wands, which is setting sail into something different. So travel could be big for you this week, depending. But this also talks about inward journeys as well. And I think with that changing of the mindset and learning to see the positive attributes that you have within yourself, I do think that there's a big moment for you this week of really feeling open and comfortable towards allowing in um, internal transformation and allowing yourself to change your thoughts and opinions on life to the point where you can feel better about yourself and more secure in this place that you happen to find yourself in, regardless, learning how to be comfortable in the present moment in any situation creates a sense of inner resilience that makes it so that you can find happiness in any moment, or at least contentment, regardless of what's happening externally, that you can create a state within yourself of inner stability and resilience that can be taken. That's not supposed to be a thumbs down. That's a thumbs up that can be taken and given to you in any moment, right? So anyway, that's for you, Cancer, this week. I hope that that's helpful. I hope you have an excellent week ahead. And we're going to move on to Leo now. Let me do a quick shuffle. If you would like a private reading from me, they are now available on my website. You can find information by going to www.junodrome.com. I have many different types of readings for many different budgets, so don't think that you can't afford them. And you can always contact me and we can work something out either way. But yeah, I also have some donation pages up. If you appreciate the work that I do, you can donate however much you want to the channel. That is super, super helpful. You can find information on that in the description section as well. Kristen says, Jay, way to go with the website. You know we're here for it. Yeah, thanks, Kristen. I really appreciate that. That's helpful. All right, everybody. So next up, we've got Leo. Leo, sun, moon, rising signs. What do you got, Leos? Leo, sun, moon, rising signs. All right, Leos. So, Leo, I think this week you are kind of at a crossroads. So, there's some things going on in your life this week where you have to make a decision, and you might be having a tricky time deciding which way to turn. With lots of possibilities open to you, you might be debating what is the right way for you to move here. And I think that what's coming in for you in that department is choosing between doing something new, like choosing your happiness, but it being something that's a new situation, a new opportunity that might be challenging, or continuing along with the same thing, tried and true, that you know what it is, and it might be boring, but at least you know the outcome, and so it's familiar, and you want to just kind of keep with that, right? And so if you're having the difficulty kind of debating between those two types of things this week, Leo, I think that, some of the advice on how to move forward is to trust that you know enough to move in any direction that you need to, first of all, right? This could be easily be a false dichotomy situation. It can get really easy to feel locked into stay with everything that it is exactly as it is, or throw it all away and do something completely different that's nothing like I've ever done before, right? When in reality, I feel like life is rarely that dichotomy, right? Like maybe there's a way to change small aspects in your day-to-day life that could actually, be giving you something a little bit easier than trying to throw it all away, right? And so I think that, with these two, Kristen says, shut the front door. I hope that it's must be resonating. Okay. So, with that, like with the King of Wands there, I think there really is a big importance in trusting yourself here, right? Trusting that, you are capable of moving in whatever direction you need for yourself, and that your abilities as a manifester, right? Because the King of Wands, he's a master manifester. Your abilities as a manifester are huge, and you have the ability to move through life and change things around in any way that you need to. And don't let anybody tell you any different. And I think that that's important to remember. Now, with the Page of Wands, though, like it's interesting you have both the King and the Page here. Like there shouldn't be too much fear about trying something different and learning how to do something differently. The Page of Wands is a student energy, so being a student of your own life and continuing that student energy for your entire life is also incredibly important. So I think as you're trying to deliberate, which directions to move this week for my Leos, I do think, staying a little bit humble in the idea that you don't quite know all of the ways forward is going to be actually really helpful, because what that does is it opens up your mind to learning new ways of doing things. And so, be really open-minded to maybe even asking questions of others this week could be really helpful. Really, like, take the time to learn everything about your situation before you make any big moves this week, I think will be really huge. Know that you can move in any direction that you need to with that King of Wands, that you're able to create anything for yourself regardless. And so if you do need to make a big drastic change, you can definitely do that. But I think with that Page of Wands, you are being encouraged to learn everything about everything before you make a big step, and really, ask around to other people who've done similar movements and have moved in the same kind of way, because that's going to help. Thumbs like the live, everyone. Oh, thank you, Virginia. I really appreciate that. That's super helpful. Yeah, go ahead and like that. That's really helpful. Hi from New Zealand. Hello, welcome, welcome. I really appreciate you tuning in. That's so great. Welcome to the tarot reading. So we're in the middle of giving a reading to Leos right now. We're going to keep moving on from there. But anyway, I would say, just to leave this off, Leo, I think that you are really capable of moving your life in whatever direction that you need to. So, trust yourself in that. But I would say the biggest thing is, before you make any huge movements this week, just make sure that you know everything that's going on. You have a real clear understanding of every direction, and that you can move forward from there. And I think that the more that you do that, the more that you open yourself up to the possibilities of creating something really powerful for yourself this week and moving in a really powerful direction. I think that's super positive for you this week, and I wouldn't be afraid of the choices, right? And so, and just open up your mind to the idea that it could be a false dichotomy that you're stuck into. It might not be an either or situation. It might be an if and etc., right? Like it could be whatever, or small tweaks here and there instead of huge jumps, or giant jumps, but in a different way than you might think. So just keep an open mind and an open perspective, and I think that that will steer you well this week. All right. Kristen says, I have so many options this week, which is wonderful, but all I can see of them working or not working. Def going to be asking more questions of others. Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think maybe ask around to your support structure, see what other people think, but then ultimately, trust your gut in it too, because I think you'll be able to find the right way forward. All right. So we're going to move on now. That was Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Aish, wow, hi, hey, welcome to the live. That's great. We got a lot of people coming in today. Awesome. So we're going to move on now to Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody I have private readings available from my website. You can find information on that by going to www.junojerome.com. I also have a little bit of a donation bar open. You can find information on that in the description section. If you appreciate what I do and you want to give me a tip, you're welcome to do that too. You obviously don't have to, but I provide this stuff for free. So anyway, we're going to keep moving on. Next up to Virgo. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. What do you need to know this week? Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Virgo. Okay, Virgos, what's up in your life this week? Okay, Virgo, you got the Magician card. So for my Virgos, this is a really, really powerful week for you. So something's going to be coming into your life this week, Virgos, to remind you that you have a lot of power, right? And that you can move your life in many directions. And that if you are unhappy with where you're at, sometimes it's up to us as individuals to take the reins of our lives into our own hands and make the changes necessary to bring life in a new direction. There's going to be things coming into your life to remind you that you have that power and that you can do anything to change your situation if you need to. And sometimes we get really locked into thinking that things are the way that they are because of X, Y, and Z, and there's nothing that I can do to change it, and I'm just stuck in this thing. But the more that you keep your mindset in that direction, you're never going to be able to change anything, right? If you tell yourself you can't, you won't. Whereas if you tell yourself you can, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but at least you're moving in that direction. With the Magician card, it's almost like you're creating the power within your life to make big changes this week. So what does that power mean for you? What is that happening here? Well, with the Hanged Man, I do think, there's this energy of feeling stuck. So I think for a lot of people here, for my Virgos, there may be this feeling like you can't move forward, or that, things are keeping you in a stuck direction, like I was saying before. But with that Magician card, it's like that's a false narrative. And so the thing about the Hanged Man that's kind of cool is, yes, he is stuck, but look at this halo going on around his head right there. He has hung himself up on this tree on purpose in order to gain powerful spiritual insights and wisdom in life that he can then take and use in his life moving forward. So if you are feeling stuck, there is the key to your momentum is actually within that stuck energy, right? So there's something about this place that you may find yourself if you're feeling stuck that will open you up to the catalyst you need to move forward again. So what is that? What is the wisdom that's coming from this situation? And that's kind of the question to ask yourself, So if you're frustrated, to my Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, if you're frustrated about where you are right now, this is a perfect moment to start asking yourself the questions of why. Why are you even here in this place that you don't want to be? Why are you feeling stuck right now? What is it about being paused that you don't like? What is making you uncomfortable? The more that you can ask yourself those questions, the more that you can figure things out and find the tools to move yourself in a new direction. So I think that that's kind of what you're opening yourself up to this week. And I think by the end of the week, you will start to be feeling momentum. With the Knight of Pentacles, the Knights talk about movement and where the movement is within the reading. For them to be in the Pentacles, that talks about physical movement in the physical world. So changing in your home environment or your work environment or in your health situation, right? It talks about moving and changing in that department. Now, the thing about the Pentacles, though, if you look at that horse, it's standing still. And so this is one of the slowest moving of the cards of the entire tarot deck. And it's comes in to remind us that making changes in the physical life, in the physical sphere, in our actual physical lives around us, that is some of the hardest change and the slowest moving change that we have. And so, maybe that's a part of where this feeling stuck energy is coming from as well, is that maybe you've been working really hard at moving in new directions. And maybe that's a journey that you've been on for a long time. And so, because you're not necessarily seeing the exact results that you want to see yet, that might be a frustrating situation to be in. But I think that it might be worth looking back over time and really asking yourself on the longer time scales. We're talking about years here. If you look back years, have you actually moved forward? And maybe you have moved much further forward than you think, but in the day-to-day situation, it doesn't exactly necessarily look like that. And so there might be a need, Virgos, to take some time to really analyze the whole thing and to look at your life from a larger perspective in order to see things differently. And I think with the Queen of Swords, this can talk about a lot of different things, but it can talk about the mind a lot. The swords are all about the mind and the mental sphere. And so I think with her, she cuts things away. She cuts things out. And sometimes it talks about cutting out negative thinking. And I do think one thing that might be keeping you stuck is certain thought patterns. And so I think that this week, a part of where this magic comes from to move you and transform your physical life, it comes from changing your mental sphere and the mental body and how you think about your life and how you think about what is happening in your life. And so I think that there'll be lots of opportunities this week to cut out maybe some negative thought cycles, or at least to start noticing them and to start changing the way that you think about things. And I think that the more that you do that, the more you put yourself into this new beginning of actual feeling happiness, right? It's a student energy though. So, you're learning what steps and tools you may need to take in order to allow in happiness into your life. And that might be a slow moving process for you with the page. But the more that you can allow yourself to do that, to take the time, to take the steps, to take the energy, to allow that in, the more that you give yourself the tools to make it really happen for yourself. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, this week to be in a new place, to think about things differently, to move in a new direction. And the more that you do that, the more I think you're going to be feeling a little bit happier about your life and about your situation. And, learning how to do things in a different way so that you can actually be happy on the day to day, right? And I think that that's been a big theme this week for a lot of the piles, is understanding that happiness comes from within, and that there are steps and things that we can take in our day-to-day lives, regardless of what our physical life looks like. There are steps we can take to allow in happiness right here, right now, regardless of how much money you make or where you live or what your job is or any of that stuff. We can find happiness in many, many things, even the small things. And the more that you learn how to do that and have that perspective, I think the more that you can find a sense of stability and opportunities to start changing things on the larger level. That if you open your perspective on the small scale towards new and different things and ways of being, then you allow in some of that spontaneous change that feels magical, that feels possible, that feels like you can actually move out of whatever mind trap you're stuck in, right? So anyway, that was for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. I hope that that's helpful. We are going to move on now to Libra. Yeah, Libra. So first things first. Ooh, there's a dog outside. Hello, dog. Neighbor's dog. That's cute. He's coming to look at the reading, see what's going on. All right, we're going to move on now to Libra. Before we do, I am offering private readings on my website with many different types. So you can find out information by going to www.junodrome.com. I have both pre-recorded video readings at different lengths available and one-on-one tarot conferences available as well. They're both different options for different people depending on what you want, but they're out there. Go ahead and take a look at the website, junodrome.com. You could also donate to the channel if you would like to. Leave me a tip. I appreciate that. If you wanted to, you can do that. No obligation, but I do offer these all for free. So that's out there. Okay, so next up we have Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising signs. What are you doing this week? Wow, very similar messages to other people. So a lot of these readings are aligned. That's usually what happens because everybody has a little bit of all the different signs in different areas. It's mostly collective readings here. So for Libra, this is a really powerful week to start feeling proud of yourself. And I think it's actually going to be really important, Libra, for you to take the time and the energy and the effort to ask yourself, how can I feel proud of myself? What can I do to allow in a sense of confidence and a sense of peace about life and a sense of pride in oneself, because there is a lot going on in your life that you can feel proud of. And I think it's really important for us all to take the time to really acknowledge just how much work we put in certain areas, just how much we've grown in certain areas. The more that you can take the time to do that this week, I think the more that you're going to start feeling really satisfied about life. And we all deserve to feel satisfaction in our lives. And I think that this week is going to be really important for you to start allowing that in a little bit more. And I think that you're going to be doing that, because you've got the victory card here. So for my Libras this week, there's a lot coming in for victory. There's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot of really positive change in your life right now, I think. And because of that, um, that's something to feel really good about, and it can be difficult sometimes when there's a lot of chaotic things going on outside of us to feel good about ourselves on the internal, so if you feel a little bit like jostled with the state of the world or any of those kinds of things, the things that you don't have any control over, you can look at, but don't feel too bad about. It's like it's hard for us to navigate weird changing times in the physical, but in your own life, I think that there's plenty to feel proud of and to feel victorious about. And so it's even more important to celebrate those wins when you have them, because things are so crazy on the larger scale, right? So take the time to really acknowledge just how far you've come and feel proud of yourself and for all of your small wins, because they mean something on the life scale, and they're really important to take the time to feel good about. With the Page of Pentacles, you are kind of starting a new period in the physical world. So maybe you're making some changes in your job or your home environment, that kind of thing. This can talk about making those types of changes. It can also talk about learning how to do things differently or to see life differently on the physical level as well. So this could be changing small habits. You might be eating a little bit differently this week, or rearranging your home environment, maybe changing your work hours, that kind of thing. This is about kind of learning how to do things differently in the physical sphere: money, health, job, life, physical life, right? It's learning how to change things. So you are being encouraged, I think, the more that you can feel good about yourself and proud about yourself, maybe you can take that into your day-to-day routines and your day-to-day habits and transform some of the things that maybe are feeling a little bit too mundane to create something really positive in a balanced way. Ultimately, you have the Two of Wands, which just talks about travel. It could be inward journeys as well as external journeys. So you may be traveling this week. You may be exploring something new. This might be encouraging you to take a new route to work, right? To drive a little bit differently, or to take the bus instead, or, to do something a little bit differently this week in the way that you navigate the world outside. Maybe explore more, go for walks, go do something a little bit different, because I think the more that you do that, I think the more that you're letting in some new spontaneous energy that might open yourself up to different thought processes and might open yourself up to thinking about life in a different way and acknowledging the universe in a different way, and feeling different things. So the more that you can switch things up this week, I think the more that you allow in this sort of spontaneous novelty into your life in a way that could be really helpful for you in the long run. So yeah. So anyway, that was Libra, sun, moon, and rising signs. I hope that was helpful. We're going to move on now to Scorpio. I'm going to quick shuffle. As I do, I'm just reminding everybody that I am opening my books up to private readings. So if you want more information, you can find that on the website, www.junojerome.com. I would love to do a private reading for you. I have pre-recorded ones available where you can ask me some questions. I'll record a video and then you can just watch the video on your own terms. I also have some tarot conferences available. If you want to do a one-on-one with me, we can do video chat. Both options on the website. All right. So next up, we have Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising signs. Scorpio. One more for Scorpio. All right. Two more, I guess. Okay, Scorpio. Yep, more repeats, which is good. Honestly, that's good because it means that we're all kind of on the same page, right? So for my Scorpios, interesting. You also have a lot of options ahead of you. This one came out for a few of the piles so far. So, Scorpio, as you move forward with all of your opportunities and all of the things that you could be doing right now, I think that you are being encouraged to take a slow and steady approach to choices this week. I think you have a lot of opportunities, a lot of choices ahead of you, and you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed at how to move forward. And so, you've got two ways of moving forward, right? We've got the Knight of Swords and we've got the Knight of Cups. And I think for you, honestly, the more helpful way to move forward is to make these choices based on the heart and not necessarily on any kind of like quick thinking. Sometimes this card can talk about making a knee-jerk decision without much thought and having that not necessarily be the way to go, right? Whereas the cups is like choosing from the heart, choosing from what feels the best for the self, really choosing the thing that pulls at the heartstrings. And so as you move forward this week, I know you probably have a lot of options and a lot of opportunities, Scorpio, but the best thing for you to do for yourself is to really take some time. Don't make any rash decisions. Don't choose anything at like this like super knee-jerk level. Do some deep breathing, maybe some meditation work. Get tuned into the self as much as possible, the inner being, and really listen to and trust the voice that starts to come out from your heart, and really ask your heart these questions too. There's some exercises you can do where you literally put your hand on your heart and do some deep breathing. Let's just do that together super quick. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So if you can do that, right, you start to slow down. And then from this slow place, you can ask your heart questions, right? So what is the best way to move forward, right? Or you can ask yourself yes or no questions like, will this thing make me happy? And then you just listen for the answer, right? And you trust the answer that comes from the heart. And the more that you do that, I think the more that you can feel really secure that you're choosing the right thing for yourself. And instead of taking any kind of knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, I should do this because it's going to make me do this and blah, 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 anything, like the mind can convince the self of anything, but the heart is going to have one particular opinion, and that's going to be something that you can tune into on that deeper level. And I think that if you decide to do that work this week, I think that that's going to help you moving forward a lot. Now, ultimately, you do have the Wheel of Fortune. So I think you're going to make the right choices. And I don't think you're going to go wrong here. So don't feel scared about choosing something wrong or doing something in the wrong way, because ultimately I don't think you will. And it's important to remember too that even if we move in directions that we don't like, we can always turn around. We can always do things differently. If you walk in one direction and you don't like it, you can change directions at any time, right? Life is like GPS, right? There is no wrong turn. If you make a turn that you weren't supposed to make, it reroutes you again in a different direction, right? All roads lead to the same place if you need them to. And so I think that's important to keep in mind, Scorpio. So don't feel overwhelmed about making decisions here, but don't make the knee-jerk decision. Really listen to the heart, because then at least you'll choose the option on the first round instead of having to like go back to the same option, right? And you won't waste as much time that way. Not that it has to be, right? Life is a learning experience. And so if you move in a direction you don't like I said, you can always change directions. You also have the Lovers card, which can talk about meeting with love, right? So I think for some people out here, Scorpio, there is an opportunity to connect in deeper, maybe with a loved one, or to find new love, any of that kind of thing. There is opportunity for that here on an aside, but it can also mean connecting in with the self a little bit deeper too. Sometimes this can talk about self-love or family love, or connecting in with that. But I do think that letting in more love into your life, I think, is going to be very important for you this week, and something to keep in mind, and that can also help you with your decision making too, of like I was saying before, really listening to the heart and tuning into the heart and being from that place of doing things from the heart. I think the more that you can do that, the more that you can feel connected and move in a positive direction. So Scorpio, that was my reading for you. Kristen says that was beautiful. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. All right. So moving on now to Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. I'm going to shuffle real quick. If you would like a private reading from me, I know I sound like a broken record, but I have to do the spiel. You are able to get them now from my website. You can find information by going to www.junodrome.com. I've got many different types of readings available on the website, so you can choose what makes you feel more comfortable. You're also always welcome to tip me as well. I have a little donation page in the description section here. If you would like to leave a tip because you like what you see, I would appreciate that. No obligation, obviously. Okay, so Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. What's going on with you? Okay, this might be an intense week for you, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be anything too scary, but let's do the intense cards right away, just because they came out. So you've got the Nine of Swords, which is it's a anxiety card most of the time. This is a person who's, if you look at them, they're waking up from having some nightmares, right? But the thing about it that's important to remember is a bad dream is just a dream, right? And anxiety most of the time is not necessarily truth, right? It's not even grounded in truth. It's like the mind can work double time to try to, it's a protective mechanism, right? Where we think about all of the things that may happen because we're trying to prepare ourselves for the worst, right? But ultimately, though, that's not always what happens in life, right? And that, like, expecting the worst doesn't actually help us, right? Because it can just target the nervous system and make us feel anxious and feel blah, 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 and then there's nothing you can do about that, right? So I think you're being encouraged this week to start practicing some mindfulness, right? So when we're mindful, mindfulness is about learning how to see the mind and notice when the mind starts to go down these pathways of anxiety and fear and negative self-talk and all of that. And it's not necessarily about trying to control the mind, which I think some people think. It's not about that at all. It's just learning to see it when it happens and to mention it, right? So the more that you can see it and call it out, even in a nice way of like, oh, that's my anxiety. Oh, there's fear. Oh, there's overthinking, right? The more that you can start to see it as it's happening, the more that actually you don't do it as much because you just catch it, right? And then it starts to naturally stop. It's not about attacking it either. It's just about seeing it and labeling it. And the more that you can start to do that, the more actually that you can then start to have conscious thinking in a different direction, right? You can say, okay, and then you could actually start questioning it too. When you start to see it as anxiety or as fear or as overthinking, it takes on less weight because it's not anything that's super crazy. It's just like, oh, hey, look, there's anxiety. All right, well, if that's just anxiety, like, I don't have to take that with any weight, right? That's just there. I don't have to do anything with it. It can just exist. And understanding that the self is not necessarily the thoughts in the head at all. We identify with the thoughts in the head a lot, but that's not exactly what the self is, right? The self is the awareness behind the thinking. So the more that you can identify more with the awareness of the thoughts and not the thoughts themselves, the more that those thoughts take on less weight and they mean less when they come in. It's kind of a transformational way of operating through life. Now you have the Tower card here, so there is something coming in this week, Sagittarius, that's kind of shaking your external world a little bit, and that might be a part of where this anxiety is coming in. So if you have any big shifts happening in your life around you, just hunker in, hold in, know that you have the King of Pentacles here, who's like the ultimate stable person. So I think that you're being reminded that you have survived every situation that life has thrown at you so far, and you can survive whatever's happening today. So keep that in mind. With this King of Pentacles card, he's the ultimate stable person. So you do have ultimate stability at your doorstep here. So maybe things are shifting and changing in your life because they need to, in order to really build a super strong foundation for yourself. You never know, right? So sometimes things shift and move in life because they need to remind us that maybe we're sitting on shaky foundations, and that actually we could be doing different things to build something stronger, build stronger roots in our lives, to build more resilience in some other direction. So, if that kind of thing is happening to you this week, just trust that you are a capable person, and that you can make things happen, that you can move in a direction that's positive for yourself, and that sometimes you can take big external changes and use them to your advantage, that you can take a transformation that's happening externally, and use it as an opportunity to move in a new direction that maybe you wouldn't have moved otherwise. And sometimes that's why these tower moments come in on a cosmic level, is sometimes we've been too steadfast in one place and in one direction, when maybe we could have been moving in a different direction this whole time, and we just didn't see it. And so sometimes there has to be big changes in the external environment to wake us up to be able to even see those in the first place, right? So just keep that in mind. That's not to say if you're going through anything rough right now that had to happen, or there needs to be some larger divine plan involved. Sometimes terrible things just happen, and we have no control over that. And so that's something else to keep in mind as well, that sometimes suffering, that it doesn't need a purpose. It just is bad, and it can just be, right? So we don't have to make bigger purposes out of terrible situations, but we can use terrible situations to transform our lives if we choose to do that, right? Not that it had to happen or that it's a good thing, right? It's just that we can take things and move through the world in different ways. That's all. Now, you do have the Eight of Pentacles card. So for my Sagittariuses out there, I do think that you are working through stuff, right? I think you've been working really hard on some things for a long time. And, that stuff can really pay off. With that King of Pentacles, I do think that some kind of thing that you've been putting in a lot of work at is going to be paying off on some scale this week for you. And so just trust it and move through life in a direction where, if you just keep putting in that work, it's going to lead somewhere, so open yourself up to that. And, finally, you have the Moon card here, which talks about not necessarily knowing all of the pathways forward for yourself. So if you're a little bit confused at which direction to move, that's okay, right? Like, we don't always have all of the answers ahead of us, and we can't always see everything that's coming up in life. And so, you know, the Moon card says, at least you can see the next few steps ahead of you. So just take the steps that you can see and have faith and trust that it's going to lead you in a positive direction, because it will. So just keep that in mind. Now we got a bunch of comments in the chat here. So Kristen says, "Thank you for inadvertently telling my sister I was right." Said Melissa, "We've been discussing mindfulness more and more." Okay, well, yeah. Melissa says, "I don't mind the tower cards. They mean change is happening. They could be positive." Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, the tower can be whatever, but sometimes change is hard for people, and some people are really afraid of the tower card, but I tend not to be either. I think that any change is an opportunity to move in whatever direction. Ace says the explanation of mindfulness was top notch. Thank you so much, Ace. I appreciate that. Mindfulness is really important. I mean, it's been transformational in my own personal life, so it can be really, really helpful to move and navigate through difficult situations. Kristen says this is sounding like a somewhat mysterious week for the collective. Yeah, I do feel that a little bit. I think that I think there are some shifts happening, and I think that there's some difficulty maybe on the the collective level. But there's a lot of opportunity on the individual level for growth and positivity. So just have faith and trust that you can move through whatever life throws at you. And the more that you can, keep that attitude, I think that the more that you can take a weird situation and move it into something positive for yourself, right? Personally, I tend to believe that there's always an opportunity for that, just because that's how my life has gone. But I mean, it takes a while to be able to see that. So don't be too hard on yourself either. And sometimes things are just crappy, right? And they don't need to have a happy ending. They can just be weird and unresolved. I have a lot of that going on in life too. All right, so that was Sagittarius. We're going to move on now to Capricorn. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising signs. Are we still in Capricorn season? I think we're at the very end of it. So happy birthday to all my Capricorns. I don't think we're in Aquarius yet, but we're almost there. So Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising signs. What do you need to know right now? Okay, you got a lot. That's okay. Kristen says, Jay, you should totally do some recorded affirmations for your posse. Just so calm and comforting. Yeah, honestly, that's a good idea. I've considered trying to do I want to do an affirmations and meditations channel. I could put them on this channel, but the algorithm is so weird where it really doesn't like you to branch out and do different things. So I've kind of just kept this as a tarot only channel. Okay, Kristen says, I would love. All right, yeah. So I am thinking about doing a channel based on meditation. I actually do have just let us know where to find it. Yeah, I will. I'll definitely be posting it around. I recently finished well, it's been a few months now, but I took a meditation teacher training course for basic mindfulness meditation. So I really have been trying to find a way to incorporate that into the business as much as I can. And then I want to do more things like that. I think affirmations would be really great, and guided meditations and all sorts of things. That's fantastic. Thank you. Ace says, the shift is more than showing in my life experience. It's bold and there are changes physically. Okay, wow. That sounds powerful, Ace. I'm glad that things are moving in a powerful direction for you. All right, so let's see. This is Capricorn. What's going on for our Capricorns this week? Capricorn. All right, yeah, it's funny, a lot of repeat messages again, which is fine. I think that's good to know. Capricorn, this is a big give and take week for you. So I think that there's going to be opportunities for you this week to actually help other people. So if you find yourself in a position to help someone, I think that you'll feel really good about it at the end of the week, by feeling good about doing something, especially because you have the King of Pentacles. So I think that there are places in your own life where you feel good about yourself, where you feel stable, and you'll be able to help somebody else from that position this week. Now, you might even be needing some extra help this week too in other areas. And so if you do need to ask for help, please don't be afraid to do that either. That's what this card can talk about. It talks about how in life, we experience both, where sometimes we are the ones giving and sometimes we are the ones receiving, and we need to be both in life. That's just a part of being human. And so if you find yourself in the opportunity to help somebody out this week, I think you'll feel really good about it. And then don't be afraid to ask for some help if you need it. Either one of those things. Now, with the Three of Pentacles, a part of this situation, that's going on for you this week, I think maybe you're kind of like the key to helping out a whole group of people, I think, whereas like you might be finding a group to build a strong foundation with moving forward. This might be joining some kind of collective or, working together as a team with certain people. I think Capricorn, you'll find yourself in a position to be able to do that a little bit more. And so don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to work with others this week, I think is kind of the biggest takeaway for you. This is not a going it alone kind of week for you. This is definitely a week of working with other people and finding opportunities to help others, to ask for help from others, to join community, to build community. Don't feel isolated this week. If you feel like you want to be alone, obviously, do what you need to do. But I think you'll find a lot of positive situations coming from working with other people this week. So I do think you're being encouraged to do that, to take the time to be with other people. With the Three of Pentacles, this is about like your ships coming in and really starting to set sail and going out there and making things happen. And two threes as well. So three, it can talk about building, three is a really stable number. So I do think that Capricorns, this week is going to be a powerful moment for you to move forward, and to do it with other people. It's like you might be finally at an area where you can act from a position of getting other people involved, right? Like you might be involving other people in a situation this week that might be a project or a situation that you've been working on alone for a long time. So if it's time to get other people involved, be open to it. With the Temperance card here, this talks about making lemonade out of those lemons. So any kind of challenging situation you might be given this week, Capricorn, it very well might be an opportunity to do things differently. So if you find yourself with any kind of challenges, open yourself up to it, because you never know. It might be giving you an opportunity to do something in a new way that could change things for you. Finally, you have the Queen of Wands, which is a master manifestation card. So this is going to be a powerful week for you to bring in some of the heartfelt things, anything that in your life that you feel really good about, you feel a desire to change things, if you feel like you really want to make things happen and put yourself out there, it's a great week for that. You have a lot of opportunity to be able to do that this week. So open yourself up to the possibilities, because they're really here for you. So anyway, that was Capricorns. I hope you have an excellent week this week. It seems like it'll be a good one for you. I think the key for you, Capricorn, this week is really working with other people. So put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to work with others. And I think that you'll have an excellent week. All right, we're going to move on now to Aquarius as I shuffle, just to remind everybody that I have private readings available. You can find information at www.junodrome.com. Finally got the website up and running, so you're welcome to do that. Kristen says, I cannot. Holy moly. Oh, wow. Oh, did it resonate? Well, that's cool. Yeah. All right. And then what else? Also, if you want a tip, I got a donation page open. You can find that in the description section. You're welcome to do that. No obligations, but I give this up for free. So I would love it if some people did at some point in the future. If you want to, great. If you don't, also great. All right. Next up, we have Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, what's going on with you? Yep, more repeat messages, which is fine. That seems to be where we're at. But you have something that's a little bit different. So let's talk about it immediately. You have the Death card, which talks about endings. And it can talk about, some pretty powerful finishing moments of things, right? Death is it's an intense situation about life, right? But the thing about the Death card is it doesn't have to be a scary thing, and it doesn't talk about necessarily about dying, as much as it's about the symbolic endings of things, right? And so I think for my Aquarius is you may be experiencing some big endings in your life, right? There could be some powerful cycles and powerful moments and powerful situations that have ended for you. And now you might be in a moment where you're, picking back up the pieces and figuring out where things are right now and moving in a new direction from where you are in this moment. And so if you're dealing with that kind of thing, I think just, be gentle with yourself, first of all. And, if you are dealing with endings that you didn't want, like change is an inevitable part of life. And sometimes we don't want that change, but it happens regardless. And so if you're in one of those moments, just know that you're not alone, first of all, that we all experience these kinds of things, and that there might be some powerful, wonderful things ahead of you still, so don't think about what you're losing. Think about what is possible for yourself here too. And I mean, obviously feel all you need to feel, right? If you need to feel grief about the ending of a cycle, be open to that, right? It's okay to feel all you need to feel, and to give yourself the time and the space to do that kind of of feeling is very important. You have the Empress card, though, which is about birth and creation and making something new. And so you are birthing something new into the world here. And so as you let go of something, the more that you can let go of the past, the more that you open your heart and you open your soul towards the beautiful new things that are trying to be brought into the world through you. So really open yourself up to that possibility. Open yourself up to all of the things that are ready to be born into your life. And don't be afraid to do something different. Don't be afraid to do something new and to experience life from an open-hearted, new perspective. You have the Lovers card, so this is an opportunity, and the Homecoming card. We'll do them both together because I can't show one of them. With the Lovers card, that is, it can talk about romance for some people, definitely. It's not for everybody, but this might be a powerful romantic moment for you with someone. So if that's the case, you can open yourself up to that. But it can also talk about just letting love into your heart in any regard, right? It can talk about family love. It can talk about self-love, connecting into an open-hearted perspective of life. And so you have the opportunity to do that, especially with the Homecoming card. Maybe softening some of the feelings you may have of hurt for yourself or for other people. This might be learning how to move through some difficult situations and come back to the self. With that Homecoming card, a lot of times it talks about coming home to yourself. And so this ending period that you might be experiencing might be an opportunity to open you back up to different versions of yourself that you might have been feeling disconnected from for a long time. This is an opportunity for you to feel a real connection with the self on a level that maybe you haven't felt in a long time. And so, open your heart to that. And I think that will feel really good ultimately. So anyway, Aquarius, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you have an excellent week this week. And we're going to move on to Pisces. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising signs. Shuffle real quick. If you would like a private reading from me, they are available at www.junodrome.com. Multiple options available there. You can check it out on the website. And I got a tip page open as well, so you can find that information in the description section. If you want to thank me for these readings, you're open to do so. All right. Pisces. What's up with Pisces this week? All right, Pisces. Let's see. So for my Pisces, sun, moon, and rising signs, yep, a lot of repeat messages. This has been an interesting one this week. There's been a lot of the same kind of things going on, which is usually a good sign, I'd say, because we all have, different parts of different signs in our charts. And I try to do these readings for everybody's sun, moon, and rising signs. So there's a lot of overlap for a lot of people, usually. All right, Pisces, I think that you are kind of trying to deliberate between some things too, right? A few of the piles have had trying to choose a pathway forward. Actually, most of the piles have had some kind of choice energy in some direction. A lot of them have. So for you, you're trying to choose this week, I think, between finding community and working with other people and maybe, doing things on your own, I feel like. Yeah, I think so. I think that, I think a part of you really does want to work with other people. And I think that actually you're being given an opportunity this week to start some foundations with others. And I think it's going to be really important for you to do that, to open yourself up to some kind of community building, really open yourself up to meeting new people and doing new things with others. I think is going to be very, very huge for you. But I think that there's a fear of doing that. And I think that that's coming from past situations here. And I think that that's, really apparent with the Seven of Wands and the Nine of Wands together. I do think that you've had some past battles with other people in a way that's left you feeling pretty shaky with that Nine of Wands. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop, of like, okay, well, when's the next battle going to happen? And so I think that there's a fear of connecting with other people because you're associating subconsciously other people with this fight energy. But ultimately, though, that's not necessarily something that will happen. That's just kind of the subconscious patterning that you've built around it. But I do see you being able to come out of that a little bit though too this week. With the 7 of Wands, this is about overcoming the struggle. Now you're not quite out of the battle yet, but you're on the upper hand of it and you're coming out of it. So I do think that if you can, don't let that fear, subconscious fear, get the best of you, and you can finally put yourself out there this week. I do think there's a really great opportunity coming in to open yourself up to community on some level. So just be open to that, be open to doing something with other people, even if it feels like it's outside of your wheelhouse. I think just doing it anyway, I think will be really helpful for you, because ultimately, you've got the King of Cups, who's this ultimate compassion card. And so, if you obviously have compassion for yourself first and foremost, share that compassion with yourself in whatever way you need, but also by being that powerful, compassionate person on the external, you create powerful connection with other people, that is positive and well received. And I think that, if you lead with that, I think that you can create some powerful community for yourself that will be really helpful in the long run. Last up, you have the Temperance card, which is about making lemonade out of the lemons that life throws you. So if you end up in a situation, that you don't like, maybe there's some opportunity in that situation to change things and move in a different direction. So even if you put yourself out there and you meet a bunch of people and you don't like those people, well, maybe just getting yourself out there is enough to, move you on a new momentum. And, you don't have to stay with anything you don't like, right? You can walk away from any situation you need to. So don't feel super locked into any one way of doing things or being. But I do think there's a powerful opportunity here to move in a positive direction for yourself this week. So open your heart to that, and I think that you'll be feeling pretty good by the end of the week. So anyway, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. That was my reading for you, and we're going to move to some collective readings. So I will open the floor soon to some personal readings if you would like one. I just ask that you leave a donation. So if you would like a personal reading, you can let me know in the comments right now. Go ahead and say, yes, I would like one. And just you can give a question or a topic. And then you're also encouraged, if you want to do that, to just leave a donation on the PayPal. And I can double check with that too. Kristen says, most Pisces that I know are super compassionate, but also hardcore introverts. Going outside one's wheelhouse makes sense for the momentum. Yeah, I think so too. It can be hard sometimes to put yourself out there. And I know Pisces kind of in both directions. It just depends. But yeah, it can be hard to put yourself out there. All right. So what does the collective need to know? We'll do a quick collective messages. And then if you would like a personal reading, like I said, open donation, you can donate anything you want. You can donate 25 cents. I just ask you donate something if you want one. Just let me know in the comments. And you can go down to the link in the description section on where you can put that forward. Otherwise, I do have private readings available for sale as well on the website. You can find that at www.junodrone.com. If you don't want to do a public reading like this and you'd like to do one there, just go ahead and find that information there. So what does the collective need to know? Yeah, okay, this one's huge. This one came up a lot. Actually, both of these came up a lot. Wow. All right, it's cool when that happens. So we got the World and we got the Two of Swords. And I think that that's kind of the biggest two messages that came out this week. With the World, there is some powerful, profound change happening in our lives right now. And I think because of that, we're leveling up. We're moving up and on, especially a lot of people, if you're resonating with these readings and you're a bit of a spiritual person, I think we are going through some powerful spiritual changes right now where a lot of us who have done a bunch of inner work are moving up and on into the new, into new places to be able to help everybody else. So, just be open-minded a little bit to the community this week. If people need your help, that was another thing that came up a bunch. If people need your help this week, obviously, you have to secure your own oxygen mask before helping others in a plane crash, right? So make sure that you're all set in yourself first. Like, that's not selfish, that's survival, right? It's necessary. But you might be available to help somebody else in their own situation this week, and so be open-minded to that. With the Two of Swords, there is a bit of a deliberation between directions as well. And I think a lot of us are at some kind of crossroads in life and being asked to make decisions to change things. So, if you have to make some big changes in life this week, be open to it and share love with yourself through whatever's going on. So, if you're going through anything tricky or challenging, just be open-hearted and open-minded with yourself, and don't push yourself too hard. With the Nine of Cups, and this is a great moment to think about how you're proud of yourself and to be proud of yourself. So whatever you can find within to feel good about yourself and to feel proud, I think is going to be super helpful. um, Thank you so much. Wow, Melissa, thank you so much for your donation. I am so deeply honored by that. That is so nice. Great. Yeah, Melissa, if you would like a reading from this, please let me know. If you have any questions, I would be happy to give you one. That's so thoughtful of you. Thank you so much. I'm so deeply appreciative of that. Yeah, with that Nine of Cups, I mean, this is a great opportunity for you to feel good about yourself. So what can you do to feel good about yourself, and to celebrate your own being and your own inner love and light, right? What can you do to do that? Even if it's a small thing this week, anything you can do to share that compassion with your own being, I think is going to be really helpful in the long run. So take the time to do that this week. Finally, we have the Page of Cups. With the Page of Cups, I think that, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to learn how to be happy this week too, which is interesting. And learning how to be okay when things are not okay, I think is a really, really huge step through life. That's really hard for us to do, but I think is going to be more and more and more important as things feel more unstable, as the world keeps rocking and moving in weird ways. Learning how to be okay and to be happy in the moment with ourselves, even when everything else around us is crazy, is really, really important. So if you can find some ways to do that, I think that will ultimately help you feel better about life, and to feel good about where you're at and stuff. So if you feel like you're at a point where things are feeling rocky or unstable, or you're feeling upset, meet yourself where you are. You don't have to pretend. This isn't about faking it till you make it. This is about feeling what your feelings are, being open with yourself, being present with yourself through everything, and learning how to accept who you are and where you are. And the more that you can do that, the more that you can start to feel more comfortable in this moment, regardless of what's happening. And that's the foundations of where happiness can be built from, right? It's not a fake thing, and it's not about, doing fake things. It's about feeling what you need to feel and moving through your emotions, even if they're challenging. Because the more that you can do that, the more that you can free yourself and feel more stable in the moment. So anyway, that's it for the collective. Melissa, did you want to do a reading? Because you donated. I mean, thank you so much for your donation either way, but I'm open to giving you one if you would like one. So we'll open the floor to that. And if anybody else would like a quick little private reading, you're welcome to have one, a personal reading. Melissa says, not now. Okay, Melissa, well, you've got one whenever. So next week, if you want one, you got one. Kristen says, I binged on Telepathy Tapes podcast, and you popped into my head so many times. Wow. I don't know if you listen to them, but if not, please do. It really resonated with your work. It's all love. Wow, that's great. I've never heard of them. So actually, I really do appreciate that. Melissa says, I appreciate it, but I've got some decisions to make this week. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Well, Melissa, yeah, you're definitely open. I'll remember. So whenever you want to read a quick little mini reading in these, you're welcome to it. And Kristen, thank you so much for that. I'm going to put Telepathy Tapes on my list of podcasts because I'm always looking for new podcasts too. So that's cool. All right, everybody. So I think I'm going to leave it here this week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I deeply appreciate everybody who's viewed things. And Melissa and Kristen, thanks for tuning in every week. Aish, thanks for being a new one tuning in. I appreciate that as well. And we had some new people in this week too. Virginia, welcome. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate that. Melissa says, thank you. Okay, yeah. All right, everybody. So I will see you all next week. Keep an eye out for more of the content here on YouTube. I do think, I don't know if it'll start this week, but I am starting to think about more meditation minded stuff. It will probably end up having to be a separate YouTube channel just based on how the algorithms work. And who knows, that one might be more popular. I don't know. We love you, Jay. Thanks, Kristen. I love you too. I appreciate you. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, there's more to come. I think I may start experimenting this week with vertical lives as well. So you may just happen to see me pop up on your phone if you scroll through the shorts. So yeah, I'm not going to put a schedule up, but I'm going to try to see if I can get people in that way too. So we'll see. Anyway, everybody, I will catch you later. Have an excellent week ahead, and I will see you in the next one.